Well, it's been a while since I've done a video. I've since got new heads on there with the 194 intake, 150 exhaust. Put some headers on. I'm just going through the vacuum hoses now. Emissions. Was getting ready to fire it up yesterday. Got all my new heater hoses on. Rad hoses, clamps. Going through it, start filling it up with water. And water started coming out right at the fins here. And that little hole right there. I think I can solder that. Just a little pinhole. I don't know how that happened. It's obviously been impacted. I don't know if I did it. I don't recall. So put it in there and put a little bit of solder on it. Flux. Well, we'll see how that goes. Otherwise, I'm taking it into the rad guy, which up here would have to be shipped down to the North Shore, or whoever their rad guy is. Yeah, I went with Flowtech headers, and I was a little skeptical because they were cheaper, but man, they fit in just nice. No complaints with the installation at all. It was a slam dunk. And actually the plugs are all pretty good. Maybe this one here. Might have to put some tin foil around the boot. And that one there too. It's like a 1/4 inch. This one's got 1/2 inch. This one's got lots an inch. Oh, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch. Good 5/8 inch on that one. So it's just that side over there. Took the water pump apart. It's a GM. It's nice having that cover on the back. The cover plate there comes off. Okay, now there's dramatic music here. And cleaned it out, lubed up the bearing, pushing. Cleaned up everything, detailed it. I got a little bit more gray paint for the transmission. It's a little sparse in areas on the front here. I got all new vacuum hose is coming. Well, the main one, it's 3/8 ID. You know, alternator, stuff like that. I don't know how long the alternator is going to last. I was checking back in my records. The fuel pump has been replaced. The starter's been replaced. The alternator has not. So anyways, I threw paint on it for now. I don't know about a long trip, if I trust it or not, but she's pretty good. Gone through everything now. Everything looked really good. Cylinders still had all the hone marks in the cylinder, no ridge at all. So it's probably a good indication what the bearings are like. The lifters look like they were losing a little bit of the hardening on the 1 degree ramp they put on the bottom there that rides against the cam lobe. That looked like it was flat. So, oh, and the rocker arms were pretty bad. I think I had to discard 6, and luckily I had some laying around that needed cleaning up, and I put them in there. So I'll drive it for a little ways and probably get another cam set with the rockers, push rods, lifters, go to a set of roller rockers, and I'll replace that down the road. Okay, let's get on this rad. I want to fire it up. I got some mufflers coming from Flowmasters. No, Magna, whatever. Megatron. I forget the name of them. You know, one of those ones. One of the mainstream guys. Looks like there's a little bit of a bump on the other side there. Well, I got it off. I might just put a little dab of solder on it too. I thought it was on the inner fin, the way the water was coming out yesterday, and I thought, oh shit, because there's 4 fins, right? And I thought I'm going to have to make a big hole here, you know, with all these fins, and it's going to be noticeable. But then again, I got, oh, this is facing the front, facing the grill, so yeah, you'd be able to see it, because I think I'm going to put my electric fan on the inside, and I thought maybe it would cover it over. Yeah, it's just kind of unsightly. Looks like a Jippo patch job, you know. And I think that'll be easy to fix. Okay, fire up the heat. Yay! It took like 15 minutes. Did one over this side here too. Over on this side, man. There's a little bit of a dent. It wasn't leaking, but just fill it up with solder. My cord's hanging up. And I straightened out the fins the best I could. Let's give it some paint. Yeah, the fins are all in pretty good shape. I could tune it up right there. There. Just get a little implement that fits in there nice and start straightening them out. Change hands here. This is facing the engine. That's pretty good. Just help the air to flow a little better. Not that I really need it, because this is a 4-core rad. Just looks better. Okay. Don't knock the sawhorses and knock that thing over. Okay, I'll put some cleaner on there. Some grease and wax remover and give it a shot of paint. Well, I still have to pressure test it. Let's try the pressure here. Okay, I'll let you know how it goes. Okay. Turned out I had these two backwards. 6 and 8 were backwards. It was backfiring, popping, and actually that pop was I didn't tighten intake, number 8 intake, number 4, number 4 intake, and number 2 exhaust. 3 rockers would pop right off. I know what I was thinking at the time now, and I didn't go through with it. I wanted to get it on firing on number 1, and then you do all the cylinders, you adjust the rocker arms, all the cylinders that are on bottom dead center, or actually all the cylinders that are not going into the cam lobe. So you get an accurate reading on the lifter. Instead of having it compressed halfway down in the stroke there, it's got a little piston and a spring, you get it with no valve load and fresh, all pumped up. So, and I didn't do that, so I forgot to. Anyways, it was a familiar sound because those rocker arms, I had to replace 6, where the bucket on the rocker arm was, and the knuckle that's you tighten down to get your adjustment, they were worn, and I'm not going to go searching for them right now, but I managed to scrounge some up around here. I had to sandblast one because it was rusty. They're definitely better, but I'm going to go for a kit. Roller rockers, push rods, camshaft, kit, and timing chain. You know, down the road, it's definitely fine. It'll work for a while. Well, I'm just being fussy, right? I just noticed it with the lifters. A little bit of wear. Look at you. Look at you. You know, to have a really nice build, that's, I wouldn't call it a weak area, but that would be an area that I would like to rejuvenate with a new part. I don't think that's tight, it's just a clamp. And all my vacuum lines are Jippo right now, so it's gonna, I can't get it to idle very good. or start for that matter. I know what I gotta do. Add this clamp. Give it a little bit more tension there. Try that. Okay, that sounds a lot better. Back to 8 cylinders instead of a 6. Beauty. Got my airbags on the front here. The radiator's holding pressure. It wasn't as bad as I thought. I started worrying and looking in the phone book for guys doing radiators because it looked like it was an interior fin. Because there's four fins going through tubes in a row there, and I went, oh man. And I just stopped to think about it and went, well, it's just soldering, it's copper, it's not aluminum, which everything's gone to now, plastic tanks and aluminum cores. This is copper. Beauty. You gotta like old school. Now, I figure out the vacuum lines here that are kind of redundant. Well, this is one that's going to be redundant right here. Where'd she go? Here it is. Because that was a heat riser valve. And I had a steel tube going down to the heat riser. Oh yeah, we're getting heat off them now. The ones, some weren't heating up very good. I go, oh, wait a minute here. What's going on here? You know, so they weren't working because the rocker arms were just floating. They weren't pumping the valve down. You know, ironing out the bugs when you put some all back together usually. That's not true. I've had a couple of ones where I turn the key and whum, and it's just beauty, and even the timing. I did it on this one when I first put it in. It fired right up. No problems at all. So far I don't see any leaks. Looks pretty good. Oil leaks. The heads were plain 30 thou, and I was kind of worried that the manifold needed to be plain too, because you're changing down here. You're changing the geometry. And you could create a vacuum leak here, you know, in the intake ports, because it's not perfectly parallel with one another, mating up, doing the iron to iron. Oh, I gotta get the hose routed out there. I want to kind of put the shroud back once I get the electric fan in. So I got vacuum lines, and then I'll go on to the electric fan, and airbags, route them. I'm just about done. pretty much, and then I can start putting fenders on because the whole bay is done. It's nice being able to just walk in here and do. I'm not humping over a fender. You know, and then I can get the battery all mounted up. I need a permanent one here going to the engine. So here I got a permanent one here bolted to the frame. Okay, that's ground. But there's obviously some ground loss because I didn't touch the engine bolts or anything. And the mounts, they're all been sitting for 10 years, 9 years, 10 years now. And it's not making a good ground because I went to test the starter and I crossed it over with a screwdriver and it just sparked. It didn't even, there wasn't even enough juice there to turn over the key or to turn over the starter. I tried it with the key previously and it was just nothing. Turned it and went, oh yeah, right, I had this Jippo ground cable that I hadn't had hooked up. I figured this one here was enough going to the frame, but it wasn't. So we're losing ground through the engine and even this firewall one here. And I got one on the back of the head. I think that's more for electronics. That's for, it might even be from the computer ground. So it's just this one here and it wasn't enough. And even when I tried this one, it gets really hot right here. So I'll get a permanent cable happening here pretty quick. That's on the list. And as I say, start putting on the fenders. Might be some tweaking here. I might even find that this needs to come out more and then it would make it close better. You never know. See how it goes. Alright, let's go get something to eat.